So, for everybody that doesn't know me, we've got new people in the room. I'm Brian Caesar, the head of HR, and we are really excited to kick off this project. How many people have been involved with the Google change? How'd that go? Pretty good? Right? Who was involved and touched and is still feeling some of the tremors of Paleo? All right? So here's the good news. The good news is we've learned a lot. What we've learned is one thing is that we need each and every one of you to go out there and help us with this project. Because the more you know about this, the more you're excited about this, the better it's going to be when we roll it out. Here's a bit of a preview of what this will do and how simply it's going to help all of our processes. What do you think? Kind of cool. So we had an advisory group a few months ago, and Dr. Fagan has a group, and we talked about all this stuff and how, today how you have to change browsers. If you want to get into this, you got to get into the map browser and all these different things. And then if you want to check your pay stub, you have to go into ATS Print Freedom. You want to check your W-2, you got to go into ESS. And you want to do Halogen, well, that's not anymore, but now it's in Google Docs. All these different systems. And we said, let's simplify. Let's go into one system. So we've got a very aggressive time frame, and we want to kick this off and go live with this April 1st. So it's kind of ambitious, but we think we can do it. So there's so many benefits. So the first question we have for you is why did we do this? Why Workday? So we talked a little bit about all these different systems that we can now not have to maintain, not have to integrate with, and not have to go back and forth with them. But quite frankly, we had a system called Oracle that's been obsolete now. They're not even going to be supporting it. That's over 10 years old. So the thing with some of the old systems that we have for employee databases, they always, what they did in the past was where they require updates. But, oh, that version's old. So you got to go through this big integration. Any Apple fans in here? When you go through and you say there's a new release from an Apple software, you have to go through and bring in this integrator and sit down and teach you how to transfer all your data and do all this? Right? No. Boom, it's upgraded. Workday can do that too. We don't have to go through another implementation if we don't want to. We can pick and choose those things we want to put in, implement them, and be done without a big, huge implementation. So it was the implementation, it was the fact that we had an outdated system, it's the fact that we can now manage this thing without having to host it on site. So there's so many, and a cost issue. I mean, you can see the cost savings. It's a big cost savings for the district. So to get better functionality, to be used on any device, anytime, all these different things, at a cheaper price, it was a no-brainer for us. Close enough. So we're going to turn this over to Bonnie, but here's my commitment to you guys. Is we think this is a big deal. It's going to be fantastic for all of our employees. I need you to go out and operate like you are owning this. So my commitment to you is for this project, I work for you. So if you need anything from me, you're getting resistance, need some advice, I'm there for you. Now obviously you've got experts like Bonnie, Gotham, Valerie, and a whole bunch of other people, but that's my commitment to you. So let's make this a success. If there's any reason you feel it can't be or got some issues, please let me know.
Good afternoon, everybody. Oops, that's turned on. So much for that. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to use the microphone. I don't have as big a voice. Like Brian, though, I am extremely excited about this Workday product and this Workday project. And I really have a high level of expectation and positivity that we will be very successful at this. But I want to talk about you all. I think many of you are probably the bookkeepers that my staff works with on a daily basis. And so I know too that often you're put in the middle a little bit, okay, finance is telling me I got to do this, but my boss is telling me I got to do this, and all those difficulties. And so I want you to know that we are here, like Brian, to support you, and we want to know when those issues occur. I know that many of our leaders delegate a lot of this operational stuff to administrative assistants, to bookkeepers, all of that. So we understand that, and we're going to support that. I don't want you ever to feel like you're in the middle of anything. So please just go through Valerie, go through any of us, Brian, me, or Gautam, to figure out any problems that you might have. And we are here to make sure that you are successful. If you're struggling with anything, please seek out your peers and have them help you through some of the issues that you might be feeling. I wanted to reiterate, like Brian said, every single employee here in Douglas County School District are going to be touching this. So you're going to be focused on employee self-service and on manager self-service. We want to make sure that you understand those systems and those modules very well so that you're able to support all of your peers at your schools or your departments to get into the system very successfully. So with that, I want to talk about what is changing and what isn't changing. So first, you can read up here very clearly, we are maintaining Oracle financials right now. So those of you that are bookkeepers, yes, you're still going to have to do your journal entries into Oracle. You will still be interfacing regularly with Oracle. But overall, as Brian mentioned, we expect that you will now be interfacing with Workday instead of with ATS. There will still be a component of Taleo because we're still going to use Taleo as a recruiter, but the onboarding is going to occur in Workday. Again, trying to drive one system that we're going to interface with on a regular basis. Right now we have you enter additional pays on an additional pay app. that's going to go away. Workday has the capability for us to actually launch that, have it approved, and then have it automatically go into payroll. And then the evaluations for admin and professional staff, all of those are going to be in Workday. The evaluations for teachers and for principals will still remain in Inspired. So we're not going to replace all the work that our teachers and our school leaders have been doing over the last couple of years. So overall, I'm really excited about this project. One important thing for me that this project is going to allow us to do is to go into a biweekly payroll. We will be the one of few, if not the only school district in the state of Colorado that will be able to pay all of our employees on a biweekly basis. We're not planning on that going live April, but we are planning on that going live in July. I think that will make a huge difference for our hourly employees in particular. They're not going to wait 6 to 8 weeks to receive pay for the work that they did 6 to 8 weeks ago. It'll be on a 2-week cycle. But remember, the only way we would be able to do that is because of the efficiencies that we would realize by going to Workday. So again, this is impacting payroll directly, which reports to me. It's going to impact all of our benefit calculations, all of that. And again, my staff in finance as well as in payroll will also be there to support you in your efforts to make sure that all of our employees and all of our managers know how to interface with Workday. And one of the beautiful things that I really like about it is it looks like my iPhone screen with all the various apps, making it very intuitive. So I'm really excited about it. I hope we can get you guys all excited about it. And again, let's go. And I'm going to hand this over to Gotham.
This is it. So I guess you've heard the commitment, and the same commitment is from the IT organization. Valerie is going to be working very closely with you. She's part of the IT team, and her responsibility is essentially making sure that you get all the resources you need and be able to give her feedback. If you see something, you want something to be changed, there's an opportunity for you to get back to Valerie, let her know these are the things we do differently, and maybe that's something she can come back and bring it to the team so they can look at it as they build into all the process. The tool is beautiful, as everybody keeps saying, it's so Apple-ish. That'll make it very easy for you to use. It makes it easy for us to manage and maintain. Instead of having to use the multiple systems, knowing the codes in Oracle, all that changes, it goes away. And the system keeps getting upgraded from the server itself. So as new function features roll out, much like your iOS or iPhone update release, it automatically gets updated, we test it out, and then since it's ready to release, it'll move out to you. So you can expect better capabilities, faster functionality, easier to use. Yeah, life would be great. And you get 2 paychecks in a month. I think that alone sells it.
3 sometimes.
3 sometimes. Christmas bonus. So we're here to answer any questions, help support you guys through this process. Let us know if you need it.
One other thing, I heard a rumor that there is a little parting gift you guys get at the end of today. And I was really disappointed that it wasn't on my chair when I came in here, and so I said, well, can I have one? And he said, well, you have to be here for the whole thing in order to get one. And then at the same time, both Valerie and Jason say, but you can't stay.
Is it an iPhone 6? Everybody gets an iPhone 6 today.
So I don't get a gift, and I can't even stay to get one. So I hope you guys enjoy the day, and I hope this gives you a really good feel of what this project is going to look like for us over this next year. Truly, I believe it will be transformational for the Center School District. Thank you all.
Where's the agenda? Isn't that the next one? Did we skip that slide? Okay. So you're probably wondering, why was I selected as a WIL? What was it about me that made my administrators nominate me for this illustrious award? Basically, we sent out a list to your administrators, your managers, with these qualities, and we said, hey, could you, is there someone in your building that you feel like would meet this criteria? So it was important to us that there was going to be somebody who was inspiring, motivated, knowledgeable, reputable, courageous, and thick-skinned, because we think that those are really good qualities for an implementation lead. You're going to need them. So what is your role as a WIL? What will be expected of you? Basically, what's going to happen is you are going to get information from your meetings, and you're going to communicate that to your administrator, your manager. Next, you will talk to your coworkers. So informally, just talk. Find out how people are feeling, what you're hearing. We want to squash any rumors that are coming up. Maybe someone says, hey, I heard we're only going to get paid every other month. And you're going to be able to say, no, that is completely not true. So it's important that we can kind of keep on top of this, because I think one of the downers on implementations is people hear things, they don't really know what's true. They need to have someone that they can go talk to be their go-to person, and I know you guys, a lot of you are in that role already. I'm going to show you a contact form at the end of this presentation, and that's where you'll be able to submit the feedback that you get. So along with that, you're also going to help identify some potential problems. If you're seeing something or hearing something, please let us know, because we really, really want to support you. We are asking that you please attend these monthly meetings. I know it's a big deal to get over here once a month, but I do think it'll be very much worth your while and worth your time to come. We're going to try and keep things as fun as we can. And if you're not able to attend, if you have a critical scheduling conflict, then you can see the meeting has been recorded, and then you'll be able to watch that at a later date. But I would highly encourage you to attend in person if you can. Also, I forgot to mention, you might be asked to do some testing. We are going to ask a few people to come in. We're going to have some documentation, and we're going to want some fresh eyes on there and have someone sit down with it and say, yes, I can go through these steps to change my contact information or whatever the case may be. Okay, comprehend policy and process changes. Like Bonnie was saying, things are going to move. ESS is going to go away. ATS is going to go away. So you need to be aware of that and then be able to train your staff. There's going to be two components to Workday. There'll be the employee self-service piece, which will hit the majority. And then, of course, there'll be the manager self-service piece. And that's going to be a much smaller group. That's more like your change of status type things that you're used to doing now in Taleo. Some of those processes will move. So we're going to teach you all that, don't worry. Okay? So I think next thing I wanted to show you was the timeline. If you don't have these meetings on your calendar already, if you could please get that on your calendar. I shared the calendar with you, and if you just go to the event, you can click on it and say add to my calendar. Don't do that in January though, because I have a boatload of meetings on there because I wanted to book the room. Essentially what's going to happen is you're going to come in groups of 20 or less and get a 4-hour training session. So I wanted to offer a lot of different training times and dates so that works with your schedule, because I know it'll be within your school day, so that's going to be a little bit more difficult for you to find times that you can get away for a 4-hour chunk. So don't worry, I'll send that out probably early December for you to go ahead and reserve a time that works for you. And the same goes for the pilot training. That's actually a one-on-one training that you will sit with Jason, and he's going to help you go through your materials, make sure that you are comfortable and confident to go and deliver that material. I may be helping with that as well, but he's basically booked for an entire month to sit with people one-on-one. So that is reserved for you, and again, that'll just be a one-time slot. You won't have to come multiple times for that. The training that we show up there on March is you all training your staff. So do be aware that come March, we're going to ask you to then now communicate what you've learned, show people how to do some processes, make sure they're comfortable, they know how to get their paycheck, they know how to do the things that they need to do to get their job done if they're an administrator. And so that's going to be time. So be thinking now. I know it seems like a long ways away, but you might need to have some time booked at a staff meeting. You might want to do something after school, whatever works best for your schedule. That's what we're reserving March for. And then as Brian said, April 1st is our go live day for Workday. I think that's, oh yeah, this is a little glimpse of Workday so you can see what that looks like. When you log in as a manager, you would have this many of these little buttons. They call them worklets in Workday. And so like Bonnie was saying, you just click on one of these and then it expands. So the next slide just shows if you were to click on personal information, you can see in that one we have a column of things that can be changed and things that can be viewed. So it's pretty straightforward. It's not difficult to find things. There's also happens to be a search button in the upper left-hand corner that can be used. And you'll notice up in that far left-hand corner, if you can see it, it's pretty tiny. But there, it looks like a little mailbox with a 1. And those are notifications, so those are tasks that need to be completed. So your regular employees probably never going to have anything up there, but administrators will be seeing things in there where they have to approve something or have things move down the process. Okay? And at this point in time, I'm going to turn things over to Jason Goslin, and he is going to talk to you about the importance of change. Thanks.
Can everybody hear me okay? Back there? Yes.
Yes, 2:30 to 4:30. Most of them are on Wednesdays, but I had to make 2 on Mondays because of spring break and fall break. And they'll all be in this room as well.
And all of these slides as well will be available to you guys. Is that too loud? Oh, better. Yeah, so all these slides, so I see you're all very studious. You don't need to be. Okay?
No, don't say that.
We're going to provide
This obviously doesn't work for us.
I know. So today I'm going to talk about change. And because I'm not from the district, I'm going to introduce myself a little bit more in depth than everybody else did. By the way, if you're a man, will you raise your hand? Okay, there's 3. Work that out for you. My name is Jason Goslin. I work for Sierra Cedar, and I'm change management consultant. You ever heard of a change management consultant before? I hadn't either, so I became one. Before I was a change management consultant, I was actually a teacher. I was in the classroom. For 10 years, I was a social studies teacher. Taught AP US history and AP US government in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Anybody ever been to Cedar Rapids, Iowa? Cedar Rapids? All right. Usually, there's like 3 of you who've been to Cedar Rapids. You're not missing a whole lot. One of the things we're known for is cereal. So the 3 people who raise their hand, I'll bet you that the vast majority of you ate this morning cereal that you ate came from Cedar Rapids. It's also why it has a very neat smell to it. Because we have Quaker Oats and General Mills there, 2 huge factories. So I'm from Cedar Rapids, married, I have 3 little children. We're going to meet more of them here in a minute. But change management is something that I went into because when I left teaching, because I kind of lost my passion a little bit. And I always told myself, if you lose your passion, you need to get out of the classroom. You guys are around enough teachers, you know that maybe there's enough teachers that don't have passion. So one of the things that really bothered me when I was a teacher is all the change that I went through. Isn't there a lot of change in schools? Me too. And if we understand how the public school system works, it's easy to understand why there's change. Right? Because we have a democratic system, we lack politicians. Those politicians come in, no one's got new ideas, right? So they push them on schools. And so change is inevitable. But what I didn't like is that my school districts that I worked at, there was no change management at all. So I really have to hand it to executives. This is the biggest group of change actions I've ever seen for a project like this. So I can tell that they really want this to be successful. It's really great to see that. Usually, there's no change management at all. At my school, it just was like, hey, welcome back to school. That way we just flip the switch, and you have to do all these new policies, and there's going to be no training for that. So that's why I got into change management. So today, you can tell I was a teacher, there's some learning goals. Okay. The first learning goal is just to understand the principles of change management. Okay, we're going to talk a lot about change today. The second goal, understand why it's important to this project. And I think you guys can understand it already. And third is to be able to apply the principles of change management to your role as a change ambassador. Okay, because that's what you guys are, as change ambassadors, whether you know it or not. Okay. Raise your hand if you have children or grandchildren. Okay. This little guy is my youngest. He doesn't look very happy, does he? This is Benjamin. He is my 3-year-old. And if you can tell by the picture, Benjamin's going through a little change in his life. Right? He's going through a systems change. And he actually started this back in June, and there's a happy ending. But he was going through a system change, right? The old system of going to the bathroom in his pants, the new system of using the toilet, okay? Now, when I was talking to Ben, I was trying to tell Ben of the undeniable benefits of using the toilet, right? And I want you guys to tell me what I was doing wrong. So okay? So I said, Ben, don't you know that you're going to improve your hygiene? It's better if you don't have to go to the bathroom in your pants. And man, it's costing your mother and I $100 a month for these diapers. And the landfills. I mean, oh, the landfills. And Benjamin just kind of looked at me. He's like, well, when I watch Curious George, I don't have to get up. I don't have to miss, okay, what's on the TV. What was the flaw in my strategy?
Those were your benefits, not his.
Very, very good, okay? Those are our benefits, my wife and I's benefits, not his. He doesn't care about any of this stuff, right? So one of the main messages you're going to hear today is we need to talk in what's in it for me, right? And one of the things we're going to be asking you guys to do when you talk to the people in your particular building is convey that message. What's in it for them, right? Also, one of the things about this is the right answer isn't always good enough, right? Workday could be the best answer ever. And does that mean that everybody's going to adopt it with open arms and say, yay, Workday? No. Just like, I think if I were to take a poll, we could all agree that it's probably better to use the toilet than to go to the bathroom in your pants, because we're all adults, right? It doesn't matter to a 3-year-old, okay? The right answer is not enough. Okay? And with Workday, it's no different. So, Ben wasn't sure, but I'm happy to okay? So Ben is, we're out of diapers for the first time in 9 years in our house, so we're pretty excited. Okay, so change management. If we look at what it is, I know a lot of you said you hadn't heard of it before. It's essentially emphasizing the people side of change, right? So when you have a project, you have project management that maybe you've heard of, but you also have change management, which is dealing with the people. Right, the project managers, they deal with all the technical stuff, they build Workday, make sure all the bells and whistles work. And the change managers, okay, we're going to be dealing with people. So if you don't see yourself as a people person, okay, this might not be the job for you. Okay? Because we're going to be dealing with people a lot. We're going to be communicating. We're going to be training people and things along those lines. So unlike this picture, we want to make sure that people in the project are going along the same lines. Okay? And since change management's been around for like 25 years now, there's been significant research done that shows if you actually take the time, like we are now, right, 7 months before they flip the switch, it can make a really, really big difference in how people adopt the system. So, simply put, change management is about the people, all the people that are around you, and we're going to be asking you guys to engage the people at your sites. Okay? People matter big time. Right? Higher job satisfaction if you do change management correctly. Lower productivity loss because people know what they're doing and they can hit the ground running. And less employee resistance. Okay. I want you to tell me if you agree or disagree with this statement. Raise your hand if you agree with this statement. Come on. You're not going to offend me just saying change management. It's all. So raise your hand if you disagree with this statement. Okay. Like this whole side didn't raise their hand. I got all my busybodies on their laptops back there. They're not paying attention. Okay, so we're going to try to take a look at a few different scenarios. Okay? Because I agree, I think that people hate change at certain times. Right? And I think that we can qualify this statement quite a bit, right? And maybe that's why a lot of you didn't raise your hand. She was like, well, it depends, right? So let's take a look at a few things. Okay, according to Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average person in their lifetime will have 7 careers. Now, when I was researching for this presentation, I thought, man, that seems like a lot of careers, doesn't it? And I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but you can guess. And I'm already on number 4. So I'm right on target. So let's do a little polling. Raise your hand if you have more than 1 career. Keep them up if you have more than 3 careers so far. What about more than 5? More than 7? Okay, so we got some people that had 5, 6, or 7 back there. So to me, a career change is a huge deal, right? I mean, it's a really big deal. So if people completely hated change, I don't know if they would change careers so much. And this is the average. So people are going to have more than that, less than that. I was thinking about the amount of jobs that I've had. I've already had 14 jobs. Some of those were like in high school, but still, right? Pretty interesting. According to the census taken in 2010, 20% of Americans moved every single year. That seems crazy. So, just to kind of take a poll here, if you've moved in the last 12 months or you're going to move in the next 12 months, raise your hand. Okay? All right. Interesting. You guys know what this is? I had one that looked just like this. Anybody else have a Betamax? Anybody? Okay. So those of you who had Betamaxes, we kind of jumped the gun a little bit, right? Because there was like a competition. Is the Betamax going to be the one that goes, or is the VHS going to be the one that goes? My family chose incorrectly. We chose the Betamax. And I remember we paid $800 for this in 1980. If you convert that to today's dollars, it's $3,200. So if you think technology is expensive now, it's actually not. It's way cheaper than it used to be. So, did you use a VCR or a Betamax? I'm guessing most of you did. Okay. Now raise your hand if you're still using a Betamax. Nobody? Okay. Why not? Well, because in 1997, this bad boy came out, right? The DVD player, and no longer, I remember back in the early 80s, just wearing out tapes of Top Gun and Karate Kid, and, they just got to the point where they'd break, okay? And now you got this new machine, okay, the DVD player, and now you can do this miraculous thing like skip around the chapters, and the clarity of the picture is better, and things like that. So I think most of us made this jump fairly easily, but it was hard because I remember we had like a whole closet of tapes. And I was like, man, what are we going to do with all these tapes? Right? And then today, my children can run an iPad and run all these things. My 3-year-old, Ben, who you saw, it's amazing, isn't it? What little kids can do on this technology. You got Amazon Prime, Netflix, Hulu, and who in the heck likes to watch commercials? Right? I mean, I think a lot of us in here, we just tape our shows, right? Sit through the commercials. Okay? I don't know if it was hard for you to move from these technologies, but I don't think it was hard for me to move from these technologies. Last example. Anybody know what the 250 stands for? How much it weighed. That's good. That's not the answer though. This is the memory, 250 meg hard drive. Okay? Now you look at today, this presentation is being brought to you by a MacBook Pro. I have 750 gig on that. And the cell phone that I carry in my pocket has 128 times the memory of my first computer. So a lot of the pictures, if you think of some of the pictures you have on your cell phone right now, one of those pictures might fill up that entire first computer. Yeah. So, all this to say that people can actually like change, right? I think there are scenarios that, if it's going to make their life easier, if it's going to make their life more enjoyable, be relatively painless, save them time, save them money. Most people like change. Agree? For the most part? Right. Okay? So why do people resist change? And I got a list of things up here that you could probably add a bunch to. Okay, it's not an exhaustive, perfect list. But people are fearful, right? Fearful of the unknown, right? Fear, I think, drives a lot of people from saying, I don't want to change. My wife hates change, and she's just always talking about she's fearful all over the place of different changes. So, loss of control. A lot of people like to be in control. My wife, again, is one of those people. Okay? Concerns. Some people have pretty valid concerns, like, what am I going to do with my huge Betamax collection? Right? I have all this time and energy into this. Competence. People want to be competent, right? Especially in their jobs. And when they feel like they're incompetent, that's concerning to them. Past resentments. Okay? We did a poll that we're going to get to here in a little while. But past resentments, like in my school districts that I was in, I had some resentments about the changes that had happened and how they were implemented. Okay, some people might not want to change because of those. More work. Is this thing going to make my life harder? Am I going to have to do more work? Some people don't want to do more work. Some people can't see the future, right? They just can't see what it's going to look like in the future with a new system, things along those lines. It's just tough for them to kind of see that. And of course, comfort zone, right? We all have our comfort zones. We don't want to step out of that comfort zone sometimes. So when we talk about organizational change, okay, here's kind of a picture. If you didn't notice by now, I like to use a lot of pictures. I'm banking on the fact that you don't like to read 9,000 words on each slide. But I kind of like this picture because really, what we're trying to do is, right now, the project team has already been hard at work trying to decide where are we at now, what are the processes we have now, what do we need to do to change those things to make Workday work, right? You notice in the middle, the process of change can be a little bit messy. It can be a little bit messy. And that's something that we need to predict and just understand that that's going to happen. And then finally, right, we're going to try to refreeze it into some cool looking thing called Workday, right? So Sierra Cedar is a proponent, and we use ProSci materials. Now, if you've never heard of ProSci, if you looked it up, ProSci is kind of the leading change management research institute. And they've been doing research for the last 25 years, actually out of Loveland, Colorado. And they use a model that we really like, and it's essentially saying that everybody who goes through change goes through these stages. Okay? The first one we're going to talk about in depth today, because that's where we're at, right? As we're trying to build awareness for Workday, is awareness of the need for change. That's the first step. You notice these are building blocks, so they have to happen in order. And different people go through these at different speeds, but pros would argue that they go through them all. Okay, the second phase is desire to participate in it and support the change. Okay, that's going to be really important for us to try to build desire, right? And I can already tell that some of you are probably thinking of some of those people in your building. It's going to be pretty tough to build desire in those people, right? And then we'll get into training with knowledge and ability. We need to give them the knowledge on how to change, okay? And then the ability. We need to teach them how to implement the required skills and behavior, okay, so that they can change. Some people want to change, they just don't have the training, right? I remember at some of my school districts, that was how it was. And then reinforcement to sustain the change, okay? Making sure that future updates don't completely throw everything off, okay, with what we're doing, because it's self-updating. There are 3 updates a year for Workday. So successful change management has a few tenets that I want to talk about today. And again, we're going to kind of just focus on communication. We're not going to go through everything because we have 7 months and plenty of other stuff to do. But the first one is all change. In order for change to be successful, you need executive sponsorship. And today, the meeting was kicked off by 3 executive sponsors, all of which told you, you have our support, right? And Brian even said, he almost gave you a cell phone number, right? Like, hey, you call me, maybe he's giving you, right? You're in trouble. Okay? They need to be active and involved. Okay, it's very important. Communication, often and early. Again, I would argue that we're pretty early. A lot of school districts, many school districts, don't even have change management, let alone start 7 months early getting ready for a big implementation like this. Senders and receivers of information. This is one of the things that we will stress today as well. You know, one of your main jobs is going to be to feed your administrator information to then communicate to the rest of the staff. Just like big messages like today should come from the executive sponsor, or like a big general announcement should come from the executive sponsor, your building messages should come from immediate supervisors. Right? So I remember when I was a teacher, if something came from my principal or it came from an administrative assistant, those two things were received very differently. Right? Do you agree with that? Okay. So you know we're going to have ready-made materials ready for you guys to give your principals. It's not going to add any work to them at all. They're just going to have to give the message. Okay. And then training. Multifaceted approach, using like quick guides. We're not exactly sure, we haven't built the training plan yet, we're still pretty early, but you know, possibly movies, face-to-face training, Moodle courses, all kinds of different options for training. So risks of not managing change. Productivity loss. I remember with a couple of implementations that I was involved in, nobody knew how to do their job when they flipped the switch. Right, so productivity went way, way down. With this, we're hoping that we can hit the ground running, right? Enthusiasm and creativity are stifled. Okay, there's nothing that will stifle enthusiasm. You know, like saying, okay, here's a new way to do your job, but we're not going to give you any training. Just figure it out. Right? That's really stressful, okay, and tough on people. Cynicism runs rampant, right? Active resistance occurs. I don't know about Colorado, but in Iowa, a lot of the changes that happened over the last 15 years had to do with standards. I'm not sure if you guys have any standard stuff that you're switching from this standard to that standard to this standard. We had all kinds of active resistance at our schools because it seemed like every year there was a different set of standards that we had to adhere to. And quite frankly, my last year, we failed like some Iowa inspection of some sort because the teachers flat out didn't do it. They were so fed up that they just didn't do it. So we don't want that to happen, right? We don't want active resistance to occur. Low participation. I'm going to have to point my finger a little bit about this survey that we gave out. We only had 62 or 63% of you fulfill your survey. There was one question, so we're hoping to get a little bit more participation in the future from you, okay? But low participation is one of the things that definitely can happen. Valued employees can leave the district. I don't know if you've had any people leave, but that's a real thing, right? I'm tired of dealing with this every year, right? And then the district can build a history of failed change efforts, right? That's really bad. So I don't know if a lot of these things have happened or not. There's some of you in here, I bet, who have been with the district for 20 plus years, right? And you can think of all kinds of changes that have happened, and you have all kinds of insight into what's happening in this district. But moving forward, right, this is an opportunity that we have. We hope you're going to join us and try to be positive and try to maybe turn a corner, right, and do something different with this project. So here's that survey, 63%. So this is my bipolar friend that I found. So what do you think? You guys have any predictions? So on the one side, I want to put up a number, and that's how many percentage of you were happy with the last changes. And on the other side, where she's not so happy, we put another number. Any guesses, or should I just throw them up there? Okay. 65% of you were happy. Now, that means that it was either okay or the really, really happy one. I forget exactly what they said. But there was like 2 that were positive and 2 that were negative. And so, of course, the other 35% were sad. We're not so happy with the past changes. So that brings us to our activity. Okay, like Valerie said, we're going to try our hardest to make sure that you're not going to sit in these chairs for 2 hours and listen to us just yap at you. Okay, we want to get your responses to some of the changes that have happened. Okay, in this district. So first of all, individually, we gave you pads of paper, right, and pens. we want you to think of one successful or unsuccessful technology change effort that you've been involved in. Okay? We want you to describe the characteristics of the change you observed. Okay? And if you want to do more than one, that's fine. And if you're new to the district and you're like, well, I've never been part of one here, choose a different change that you've gone through. A different technology change that maybe you've gone through in the past at a different job. That's okay. Okay? But characteristics you saw, if you choose one that you thought was really great, jot down a bunch of things that you think, why did it go so well? And if you're thinking of one that didn't go so great, why didn't it go so great? And if you were in charge, how would you have done it differently? Okay, so we're going to give you a few minutes. Okay, so I heard a lot of talk, a lot of good stuff. And for those of you just coming in, we were just saying that we're going to use that next time as part of one of our activities. We value your input, so we're really thankful that you guys took the time to do that. So, okay, so getting from here to there, if we look at the tools, and I heard a lot of this stuff when I was going around to the different groups, the tools that we're going to use, right, big time, first one is communication, right? We really want to make sure that we're communicating often, all the time, but two-way communication especially, right? So every month, we don't want just to come in here and talk to you guys. We want to make sure that you have outlets to talk to us and that we can have two-way communication to make sure that we're all, covering all the bases that we need to cover to make sure that we have everything we need for the Workday implementation. So roles and responsibilities. The organization is already involved in the redesign. You have the project team right now that has been involved with the redesign, and they are figuring out how we're going to make Workday work and helping the consultants from my company help build the system. So we're going to be talking to them a lot too. And then lastly, training. Okay, we really want to make sure that we have a training program that's robust and does the job that we need it to do. So those are kind of the big points. Communication. I messed up with Benjamin, right? My son. I wasn't speaking in his language. Okay, I was surprised somebody didn't shout out, you need to give him candy. Or, something like that, because that's how we ended up doing it, right? Is giving him candy. He was like, I'll do anything for candy. So that was like done. 2 days later, he's potty trained. So you have to speak in the language of the receiver, right? So that's why we have all of you at your different locations, because you know the people who work in your building better than we do, right? And so we're going to ask you with the messages we give, how can you help kind of customize those just a little bit even, right? To speak in the language of the people that you work with. Communicating change is most effective when, like I said earlier, it's done by the immediate supervisor, right? That's why we're going to really push you guys to help coach and just feed your principal or your building supervisor the materials, and it needs to come from them, okay? Because that's very important. And by the way, the Executive Steering Committee has talked to your principals, and like Brian said, just call a cell phone if your principal's not adhering to. Face-to-face is the best. I know at schools, I'm assuming you have regular staff meetings on a monthly or, monthly basis. That's a good time. That's a good time to have a lot of this done. Face-to-face is better. We all get so many emails and newsletters and read it online. It's best to get this stuff face-to-face, okay? And then again, regarding the local work area. Remember, tune into their radio station. What's in it for me, right? I remember when I would sit in district meetings and they would start talking about second grade math or something. Automatically, I would be tuned out, probably grading papers, doing something I wasn't supposed to do. Why? Because I didn't really care about second grade math. And it's not that I don't care about second graders. I'm not a horrible person. But for me, right, when I tuned in is when they were talking about high school teachers, right, and how it's going to affect me. So I think that we just need to make sure we speak to that. And then repeat key messages often, like I'm doing in this presentation. Probably like, man, he's repeating himself a lot. Because people need to hear messages 5 to 7 times before it finally sticks, okay? Okay, so let's predict a little bit what your individual site is going to look like,
right? We're going to have different people. Raise your hand if you've already ordered your iPhone 6. 1. All right. He is an innovator, right? He's first to adopt. Okay, he's the guy in line at the Apple store, wrapped around the block, right? So you have innovators, okay, and then you have these different groups of people who adopt, right, at different stages. And this is completely normal, and you're going to have all of these different people in each of your buildings. Okay, so expect that. Don't expect everybody to be an innovator. You're setting yourself up for failure if you do that, right? You're going to have everybody in the middle, and then you're going to have the people that you got to drag by their hair, kicking and screaming, right? The laggards, who they're not going to do it until they absolutely have to, or their job's on the line, or their principal's in their face. You're going to have those people, right? I'm a teacher, so I know that teachers are tough to deal with, right? So in the beginning, this is kind of a little picture of what it looks like, right? Nobody knows what's going on. Nobody has any of the beliefs, the skills, the knowledge. We're before the ad car, right? We're just at the A. We're going to start to build awareness. We have nobody on there. And then in the middle, over the next 7 months, you're going to have different people. You're going to have our innovator way out there in front. He's already there, right? He's to the finish line, ready to go. But you're going to have the laggards, okay, who haven't even started and who have avoided every email, who have not been listening during any staff meetings, okay? You're going to have everybody. And it's our job, right, to try to do our best to speak to all of those different individuals and not try to turn them all into innovators. But what we want to do is get them all to the finish line. Now, are we going to get 100% to the finish line? Probably not, right? But we're going to try our best, okay? And, you know, this is an ideal and this is a goal. And on April 1st, when they flip the switch, if we had everybody there, that would be fantastic. Probably not going to happen, but let's try to get as many as we can, right? That's the goal. Remember, when people go through change, there's a lot of normal things that happen, okay? Even when the change is good, feelings of loss and grief, they're normal, right? You know, let's say, for example, familiar territory and people. Let's say one of the new processes, you're no longer going to have to go to HR and talk to somebody who you really like talking to. You know, maybe I like going to HR and talking to Betty. Betty's my friend. Okay, now I'm not going to go talk to Betty anymore because of this new process. It's all going to be online or something like that. That's a loss that's normal, right? Or maybe it's just emailing or something, but you're not going to have that interaction with that person that you know what you like having interaction with. Also, ownership and control and power, these kind of go together, right? Especially if you work in HR or payroll or maybe one of these processes, you were like the person that everybody called, and now maybe you're not going to be, right? And that's sad a little bit, okay? Knowledge and expertise, again, people want to be competent, right? People want to be competent, and so there's a little bit of loss there if you feel like, man, I'm going to lose my competence, even if it's only momentarily. You know, that's a normal loss, okay? And security and confidence in your job, you know, just all the frustrating things that come with making a change. That's why over the next 7 months, we're going to do everything we can to make sure, right, that we're ready for that go live. So if you feel people being frustrated and you feel them or you hear them saying these things, you know, it's our job to empathize. You don't need to downplay or say, oh, you're being stupid. This is normal, right? I'm not asking you to be the complete positive Polly and there's no room for negativity anywhere. It's okay to empathize with people, you know, and share your humanity a little bit and say, yeah, I understand maybe there's going to be some things, but, you know, it's okay to understand what people are going through, okay? Okay, so knowing that different people respond to change differently. You got your laggards, your innovators, and everybody in between, okay? And different people have access to different lines and types of communication. What we want you to think about is how will you address, okay, the needs of those people in your area, okay? How can you help those different staff needs, okay, in your area of influence? So hopefully you're starting to understand that we have people in different buildings and you're going to kind of have to customize all your stuff. We're counting on your expertise, you know, the people that you know, to help us in this way. So the first step is to build awareness. Okay, and this is what awareness looks like. Awareness is achieved when a person is aware of and understands the nature of the change, why it is needed, and the risks of not changing. This is really our goal over the next month to a month and a half. This is the message we're trying to get out to people. Okay, and we're going to be leaving you with some communication tools today to help address those questions. Okay, so roles and responsibilities. We're in the last section. So a change agent network. So that's us, the project team, your administrators. Okay, so what is it exactly? I just want to be clear on what it is. Okay, it's a team located across the organization, right? And to help users through change and continuity. It's a two-way communication channel. That's important to note. Okay? The third bullet is also important. It's a group of people who influence positive change, right? It's okay to empathize, but just imagine if you go back and you're the Workday implementation lead, and all of a sudden you go on a rant about what a terrible system this is going to be and how awful this is going to be. You're going to derail the effort at your building, right? You all understand that, okay? So come back to us with your negativity. It's like parenting, right? My wife and I, we try not to ever fight in front of our kids. Keep a united front, okay? Same with us. Okay, and a formal network to leverage peer-to-peer communications. Okay, talk to people, in the teacher's lounge or, the break room, whatever it is, and try to figure out what are people thinking about Workday, right? And how can we communicate that way? A change agent network is not a replacement for existing communications. You're still going to get all the same communications, right? Emails and newsletters and things like that. What this is different communications, more specific for each different area, right? That's what we're trying to pull off here. It's not a substitute for the existing management structure, and it's not a substitute for the project management. Okay, it's different. Okay, we have our own purpose, and it's not a decision-making body with regard to the project. Okay. So here's a picture. I like pictures. So this is kind of our world that we're in, right? You guys are the purple, the change ambassadors of the WILS. Valerie and I, for all intents and purposes, we're the change agent network. We're green. Okay. Change leaders, these are your administrators, or your building leaders. Okay. And then the change implementers, this is the project team. Okay, the people building Workday. Okay, and HR and payroll and things like that. And so here are the activities that we're going to be trying to do throughout, right? Balance inquiry and advocacy. We want to be advocates, but we also want you to ask questions and shoot holes in stuff before we flip the switch, right? We want to know before that happens. Communicate, feedback tracking. Valerie's going to demonstrate how we want that done for this project at the end, and then updates on process and policy changes. There will be some, so we'll make sure to include that in training, okay, and getting that feedback. So if we take each of these individually, these three, we'll start with you guys. If you're thinking of your roles in a kind of simple matter, these are your roles, right? Help build ownership for Workday. Promote awareness, right? Why are we doing this? Why is Workday coming? Okay. Be an advocate for change and for Workday. Communicate what's in it for me. Give them chocolate if you need to. And facilitate understanding, okay, of how things are going to work. Change leaders, these are your principals, again, and building leaders. They're going to identify potential problems, issues, and sources, okay, and help to resolve them, kind of work as a team with you. And again, they have been talked to about this, so don't let them play ignorant when you start talking to them, okay? Work with WILS to bridge knowledge and communication gaps. They're to work with you guys, right? Identify certain things unique to your particular building or area. They are also to be advocates for change and for Workday. And lastly, this is important when it comes to training, right? Because you're going to have some people in your building. Again, I was a teacher, and some teachers might just say, I'm just not going to do that training, right? Everybody, like Brian said, this is going to touch every single person in the district, and everybody has to get training on this. So this is a leverage point that your principal can say, everybody has to sign up for a training session, right? This has to happen. And they can say, or else I'll, yada, yada, yada. Change implementers, this is the project team. These are the people building the system right now. They go to configuration workshops, business process workshops. Again, they're helping build the system. Okay, and Valerie and I communicate with them all the time, have meetings with them about, it says support impact assessment up there. We've been meeting with them, what things are going to happen that are going to have the biggest impact on people. What things are the most important that we train on, where the least impact is going to be. That way we can manage our training strategy the best, put the most resources where we need them, and likewise. They're communicating the to-be processes that may be particularly challenging, just like that, and we're noting that in the impact assessment, so we can make sure to spend a little bit more time there maybe if we need to. Support training. They also communicate what's in it for me because they know the system so well. Oh, this is going to be really cool, right? So when we're doing demonstrations with you guys in the next couple months, we're going to show you some of that cool stuff that they're telling us about. And then facilitate understanding. So those are kind of the three big groups of people in the change agent team. So again, think about how to get the stakeholders you represent involved. Now, some of your stakeholders are going to be really gung-ho, innovator type people. Some of them might be like this person on the far right. Maybe they won't care. Okay? All that much again, expect the spectrum of people. Okay? And do your best, okay, to help push the project along in a positive manner. Okay? Now I know, because I was a teacher, that administrative assistants, which a lot of you are, correct? You guys are like juggling elephants all the time, right? I knew in my building who to go to when I needed something done. Okay, and that was the administrative assistant. I know you guys have a lot going on, and we're not expecting miracles. We know that you have a lot on your plate, but we are, right, just expecting that you can help us out 2 to 3 hours a month. Okay, by coming to this meeting, that's a big one. Okay, just so we're on the same page, right, and we can send you out into your individual buildings and we all have the same message, okay? Look for challenges and obstacles to adoption. What are you hearing in the teacher's lounge? Help us, come back, communicate with us so we can get the right messages out. If rumors are starting, let's try to get those right away, okay? So help us communicate. Help with localizing the message. Again, we're going to send you with a PowerPoint today, and one of them is going to be, your name is essentially going to be in the last slide. Right now it's like an insert your name here because you all have different names, obviously, right? So you have to just customize a little bit and localize the messages that we give you, but we're asking you to do that, okay? Be a conduit for your school or department, and then help your supervisor to understand their role as a communicator and how important it is, because it is really important, okay, that they be the leader of a lot of these messages. So start small. Again, just the tone. I can't stress enough that if you go back and just completely dive bomb the whole Workday thing, it's going to be bad. Okay, and it's really going to put obstacles in our way that just are unneeded, right? So, again, just every conversation you have, just remember that you are the representative for the Workday project. So, it is what it is, right? So make an impact, leave a lasting impact of what you think the Workday project is going to be like. It's going to be, it's going to be good. And I think, quite frankly, it's going to be an easy sell. Because I know you don't know much about Workday yet, but Workday is an awesome product. I can tell you that right now. I mean, the fact that Workday's clients, just to give you a few, are Google, Facebook, Yahoo, Harvard, Yale. Those are some pretty big names, right, in today's world. And so, like I said, I think it's going to be easier maybe than we think, because once people get in there, they're going to be like, this is so easy. If you can Google, you can Workday. That's what I say. So, more specifically, we're going to show you the materials now here in a minute. Take them back to your building. Don't wait. We want you to show them tomorrow. We know your day's over today, so we're not going to say you have to do it today. But we want you to have, talk to your supervisor tomorrow. Share the materials with them. They're not that, the slideshow, it's a lot like this. It's pictures. There's a lot of the same slides from this, just kind of introducing Workday. What is it? Very simple, and it's already built for you. Okay? Help them understand the role, They're busy too, we know, so don't overwhelm them. Start communicating and go to the website that we have. The website that Valerie has built is phenomenal, and it's going to have all the materials that you ever need for communicating. I'm just going to let her demo that. Yeah.
So the Workday website is a work in progress. As you can guess, I don't have all of the materials ready to go. Do I need a mic on? Can you guys hear me all right? Yeah. Okay, so let me show you what that's going to look like and how to navigate there. Does everyone know how to get to the IT support website? Please say yes. Right, Amanda? Right. Okay, so from the IT support website, which you all love and have grown to use constantly, if you come down here to the bottom, you're going to see Workday at DCSD. Okay? If you don't know how to get to that one, if you go to the main district website, and if you go to the IT Support Center website, you can go down to the Workday link. And then you will have to be signed into your Google account because it is a Google site. It's an internal site that I built for you. Once we get in there, I'll show you kind of quickly how to navigate. But again, I do want to stress to you that it is not completely done. Even some of the pages say, you know, holding page or something like that. And there is that calendar that I shared with you. So if you need to refer back to that, we're going to keep updating as things are coming so that you kind of get a feel. Like tomorrow, there'll be an article that'll go out into Think so that the general population will get a little soundbite, essentially, of what you all heard here today. So if you wanted to navigate it from the district website, you can go District A to Z. Underneath Information Technology, we have IT Applications. And then in this Master Resources list, you'll see that I have Workday in here as well. And I need to get Randy Barber to teach me how to get rid of that extra space, which is kind of driving me nuts. Okay, so you'll notice I'm going to have to go ahead and log in. To spell it right. Hang on one second. I'm sorry, because we were all logged into everything earlier. Let me show you the site. Okay, there we go. All right, so when you're on this site, I've got some navigation across the top, down the side, typical kinds of things. What I want to point you to right now is the contact form. Remember, we were saying if you're hearing things or you have suggestions that you want to bring to us, an easy thing for you to do is just click this Contact Us form. And then that'll allow you to fill this out. This one does collect your user ID and so that I know who is submitting the information. But if you would just go ahead and fill this out for us. It's very straightforward. I'm just asking you for your site and basically if you want to be contacted. And is this feedback that you're giving me or something that you've heard out and about? You don't have to give their name, but just so we get a kind of sense of this is a question that maybe you had as a WIL, or is this something that you're just sort of hearing from the general population? Okay? So that's where that Contact Us form is. This site communications, this is what we want to give you all because we do know that you're very busy. And so what there's going to be one for every month. And what you'll do is you'll come in here, you'll see we've got some key takeaways of the things that we really want you to kind of think about that we talked about. What you want to be thinking about for our next meeting. You'll notice that we have some messages that you can communicate to staff that might help you sort of start to think about, well, what do I want to say to them? What's important to them to hear now? I mean, obviously, you're not going to tell them how to use the functionality. We're not there yet. So that can be some things that you can talk to with them. One of the things being they don't have to go to so many sites. So that might be a good selling point or a positive thing that you can relay to them. And then the materials, this is the part that I'm really happy about. What we did is we took today's presentation and we condensed it down to just about 5 or 6 slides, and that's this September communication. And this is something that your administrator can use at a staff meeting. And so you can see it looks very familiar. You're going to notice, I'm trying to scroll with this scrolling mouse thing. Maybe I can use the arrow down. Okay, so that's just going to kind of walk you through some of the things you heard today. It looks a little bit different, but it's pretty similar. as you can see. And you notice we even put some little notes down there at the bottom that might help them as they speak to what they're seeing on these screens. Okay, so then you notice this last one, it just says insert name here. So how do you use this thing? What you'll do is while you're gonna navigate to this, you just go to File and you say make a copy. That'll copy that into your own drive or your administrator's drive, and then they can rename it to something that, you know, makes sense, maybe, you know, LGE, whatever, and then go ahead and fit that in there with your name in there, so that when they're presenting, we just don't want you guys to have to recreate all this stuff. It's, you know, you have enough to do. All right, the other thing that's in there is that little handout that we gave you today with the RPM and the workday with the little red stripe on there. If you wanted to, we thought maybe you could print them. Maybe you're in a large school and you want to post a few up, maybe one in the lounge, one in the front office. That's another way you can sort of build awareness. And then the other thing you can do, if your administrator would like to send out also an email to staff, this is sort of just a sample that might be helpful in writing that email, so they don't have to start from scratch and go, I don't know what to say. So this can give a starting point to say, hey, here's what happened. We've appointed, you know, Sally as our WIL. They're going to be going to meetings, and they're going to be providing us information. And if you have concerns, please speak to Sally, and she'll make sure that that gets pushed on to the project team. So we're really hoping that these 3 things will make your life easier. If you have other ideas or things that we can do to make sure that, you know, we don't want you to recreate the WIL. It doesn't make, or the WIL material. It doesn't make sense for Amanda to go, okay, great, now I have to send out an email, and no, I don't know. I don't have the time to mess with this, so never mind, we won't do it. So the more we can kind of just get to you, that's our goal. And then when time comes for you to do trainings, it'll be the same idea. We'll provide you an outline. We're going to provide you as much of a script as we can. We're going to provide you the handouts to use with your staff, so you're ready to go, and all you then need to do is be the conduit for it, okay? So let's just go back to that site, and that'll be that WILS toolkit, and that's not built yet, okay? There's some training materials in there right now. They're all very generic. Okay, they all are looking at a non-specific site called AMU or something like that. And so if you want to look at them now, there are some videos, there's some PDFs in there of documents that you can see what it would take to, maybe you want to watch the one on how to, you know, update your contact information, just so you can get a sense of what Workday looks like. You're more than welcome to look at them. If you see any errors or spellings or something that you go, ooh, please let me know. You can email that to me right away, and I will take care of fixing that as soon as I can, okay? So anyway, and you know, there's terms. Feel free to explore this. It's for you to use, and you know, again, I'm really open to ideas and suggestions. This is the first website I've built on my own, so I'm not a master at it, but I try to think of the things that would be important to me. If I had to go out and train this stuff, that was very scary for me when I first found out I had this position. I was like, well, how do you expect me to train this? I've never even seen the thing. And that gave me, and Jason kept saying, oh, don't worry, we have plenty of time, don't worry, you're gonna see all that. But it was like, I need to see something now. I just felt very uncomfortable until I started to watch a few of those videos. I was like, okay, I can definitely handle this. But I personally needed that assurance. So if you want to, go for it, watch the videos. Okay, was there anything else we wanted to show them on this?
Was there 2 more slides?
Okay. So everyone know how to get to this site? Where do you go to get the site? Awesome. Did you have a question, sir?
My assumption is that all district employees can access that.
Yes.
So obviously, the faster we look at that material, the better layout this is going to be. Because I've got people, I had somebody come to me a month ago talk about that before I knew about it. So the appearance that we know what we are doing benefits all of us to look at that. Yeah, serious. Sure. Because we're going to get bombarded with questions if we don't review that whole thing. Right. We're going to look like idiots.
I would say that at this point in time, we do not even have what we call it a sandbox for Infinite Campus, where we have another system that we can go in there and test and try things. you can tell people that is not even available to us at this point in time. All the materials out there are generic at this moment in time, and they're more than welcome to go and watch and get some familiarity to it. But you guys are going to be being trained over time, and we do not expect you to know how to do all these processes yet. I'm still collecting what all the processes are to have HR look at it, have benefits look at them. There may be stuff in there that we're not even going to use. Okay, I know there's one about expenses. You might see the little worklet for expenses. I don't believe we're even going to be using that worklet. So, you know, over time I'm going to be able to clean this and make it better, but you know, I'm doing the best I can to keep it.
I understand your
Oh, I
point.
know you're not.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've been through transportation 40 years with a lot of new things laid out. And the people that are laying them out, which is what we are,
Right.
if we don't have some knowledge on the forefront of this, then questions in people's minds are there instantly.
Right.
Do they know what they're doing?
Right.
Other than saying that, in the beginning of the meeting, you mentioned payroll going to paychecks every 2 weeks, which is 26 paychecks a year.
Yes?
Is that a byproduct of this?
Yes.
That's my point, because if that's part of the package,
Great selling point.
that would motivate probably 40% of the people in its entirety right there.
Yep.
Well, I'm not selling
Time is getting by.
But make sure they understand. Make sure they understand that is not going to happen on April 1st. That can't happen until we start the new school year. Okay.
But it's definitely going to happen.
It is happening. I have been told.
That message is going to be out there tomorrow.
Okay. It's great news.
That's the candy. I like it.
Yeah, that's the candy.
Okay, so I'm going to try to get you out of here a little early, like I said. So what's in it for you, right? Trying to speak in your language a little bit. $500 per semester. Okay, I know that, you know, maybe that's not much. Maybe you think it is a lot. I don't know, but $500 is $500, right? So that can't be all bad. Technology leadership role. I don't know if you're thinking about a different career at some point in your life, but you know, having this on the resume, not a bad thing. Like I said, the Workday client list is pretty impressive. Change management skills. If you've never heard of change management before, maybe you can use some of this stuff in your own life. Maybe you want to quit smoking. Maybe you want to potty train a kid. I don't know. You know, maybe some of these things will transfer. Okay? And it's another opportunity, right, to show your administrator how much they need you and how much work you do and how much they appreciate you. So these are the things that we came up with. Okay? So she already did the demonstrations. Do you have anything else?
You go back to what's in it for me.
I will. You betcha.
Is there any question about how we're going to be doing the swiping in and out thing? I had a couple people email me back that you were having a hard time really understanding what that meant, how it meant for your days and your hours that you were working. Does anyone need any more clarification on that? No? Everyone's good? So just because it'll make...
When we left our building and came here.
No. Okay, so let me clarify. Let me clarify for you. If you're classified and you normally work until 3 o'clock, you will be paid your regular day. Okay? So if you had to leave your site at 2:15 in order to be here for a 2:30 meeting, you will not swipe out. You're just going to sign the attendance sheet. I'm going to inform your Kronos manager, who you told me who it was on the sign-in sheet, that you were here for this meeting, and they will enter your end of day being whatever it normally is, 3 o'clock. If you normally work, if you're Juliana and you work at nighttime, she works from like 1 to 7, it won't matter to her at all because this meeting just falls in the middle of her day. So she won't either swipe in or out. It's just, you know, she'll just do her regular swipe in when she gets to work at 1. Okay? So if you normally work till 4:30 and we're done at 4:30, that works out really well for you because then we're just going to send your Kronos manager a note saying, hey, Sally was here for the meeting. Okay? So the reasoning behind that is Brian Caesar felt strongly that you guys shouldn't have to then be penalized for being gone for a couple of hours or whatever from your job and then have to take personal time in order to cover the time that you were here for a meeting. So he just wanted to make sure that none of that was going to happen. You were going to get paid for your regular job. But on the flip side of that, because you're getting paid a stipend, you're not going to be paid overtime. So if you normally leave work at 3 and you're here at a meeting till 4:30, that hour and a half is sort of considered like volunteer time. Okay, so the stipend is a way to sort of compensate you for that extra time that you'll spend. Something's going to probably come up where you're going to be working after hours. Maybe you're going to give a little after-school tutorial on how to get your pay stub, and maybe that'll run an hour after school. If it's outside of your normal hours, that's just time that you're saying, hey, I'm going to give my time. Does that help it make a little bit more clearly? Okay, good. Yes?
If we do a Chronos at our site, do we just take your note and put it with the exception report?
Do you normally do your own edits then?
I do the own edits, and somebody else approves and signs off.
I think it would be better if whoever is your supervisor puts in that timestamp for you. Okay, that way it has, because Chronos is always kind of records who does the time in and out, those swipes. And so I think for this case, it would be better if you had your supervisor put in that 3 o'clock out swipe for you, and maybe with a comment of training or meeting, and then in the comment put, work day. But thank you guys for coming.
We'll
see you next time.